Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. Every month, members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from a monthly selection, and access to daily news digests from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post, as well as guided meditation programs. Between a full-time job in IT and a full-time job in podcasting, it gets harder and harder to sit down and read the books I'm interested in. This is where Audible comes in. I can listen on my daily commute, relaxing, or while out running errands and still get in the books I've been wanting to get into. You can download titles and listen offline anytime, anywhere. The app is free and can be installed on all smartphones and tablets. Now you can try Audible risk-free with a special 30-day free trial by visiting audibletrial.com/Nerdery and Murdery. That's audibletrial.com/Nerdery and Murdery. Don't let your busy life get in the way of that great book you've been wanting to read. Go get your free trial of Audible today. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. This is Geoffrey, and we've talked about many times before that I experience problems and struggles with my mental health, and really without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy does work. It's helped for me, but what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, or you're not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's really time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles, and it's time to start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is a customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. So join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And there's a special offer to Nerdery and Murdery listeners. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/Nerdery and Murdery. That's betterhelp.com/Nerdery and Murdery. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
Hold on to your Aquanet, Nerdery and Murdery fans. We're diving headfirst into the glitter-soaked, guitar-shredding world of glam metal. Crank up the nostalgia because we're taking you on a journey through the days when the power ballad ruled and the only thing louder than the amps was the fashion. Get ready for a podcast that's louder than a stadium roar and more electrifying than a guitar solo. Nerdery and Murdery, glamming it up and rocking your eardrums.
Awesome. Welcome to episode 126 of Nerdery and Murdery.
Big 126. I'm Zig with your Nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdery. Welcome to another week's the highs and lows, the good and the bad, the up, the down, the nerd, and the murd. And we have guests in the house. From Two Geeks and a Microphone, we have Mike.
What's up, all you metalheads out there?
And we also have his wife, Brenda, joining us.
Hello.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. This is going to be a good week. I have to tell you something, I guess, funny and tragic all at the same time. This just happened yesterday. We were leaving to go golfing, and Chelsea had been putting up a bag into our golf cart. Anyway, we start to pull off, and then we hear something clunk and realize she'd left a pair of scissors that fell off in the street. So we backed up. Well, my mother-in-law didn't see we had backed up, and suddenly I look up, and the cart is about to crush my legs.
Oh, no.
Oh, God, oh, my God, oh, my God. And I jumped out of the way just about as quick as I could. But we were really happy because we just got the cart back after 4 days of being in the shop because our batteries died. You got to replace them about every 5 years. And so we just got it back, and we're back out on the course. We get all the way out to 15, and our cart dies. It won't start. We've got all electricity, but press the pedal, there's nothing. And this particular course, because we're going to have to push this thing home. This particular hole on the course, to get out of it, you have to go down into this big ditch. So we had to not only get it down, but then push it up the big ditch and then push the damn cart a mile home. And I was whipped. I was just whipped.
Well, you weren't going to golf for exercise, right? There you go.
I know. So the cart's going to go back in the shop again. I hate it.
Sorry, man.
Yeah,
and he's got lightsaber lights on it and everything. It's so cool.
I was just gonna ask, your cart's like all decked out in Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, Darth Vader head on it, and TIE fighters and Star Destroyers on it, and the lightsabers and everything. It's really, really cool cart.
You can see the lightsabers in my background.
Yeah.
Anakin and Obi-Wan, and then Master Yoda, if I can move out of the way.
Yeah, I see it. It's awesome. Well, I've been looking forward to this episode. Zig, I will let you take over on the nerdery side of the house.
Okay, as you probably heard from the stab, and we talked about it in episodes previously, we're going to do a couple episodes on glam metal. So 126 and 127 are over glam/hair metal.
Outstanding.
I'd like to start by saying, this is not my favorite music. I was more of an indie guy. Having said that, I like every song in this list except for like 3.
Oh, wow. You picked the list.
I did pick the list.
Yes, he did.
Yes, I picked the list. I picked both lists. And when I say I have 20 songs, one for 126, 127, there are 3 songs that I do not care for.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Okay. All right. So let's start at the top of the list. You want to just go ahead and give the list ahead of time?
Yeah, just give them as we go along.
Okay. First song in episode 126 is Runaway by Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi is an American rock band formed in 1983 in Sayreville, New Jersey. The band currently consists of singer John Bon Jovi, keyboardist David Bryan, drummer Tico Torres, guitarist Phil X, and bassist Hugh McDonald. Original bassist Alec John Such left the band in 1994, and longtime guitarist and co-songwriter Richie Sambora left in 2013. The band has been credited with bridging the gap between heavy metal, rock, and pop with styles and ease. In 1984, Bon Jovi released their first album, and their debut single, Runaway, managed to crack the top 40 in 1986. The band achieved widespread success and global recognition with their third album, Slippery When Wet, which sold over 20 million copies and included 3 top 10 singles, 2 of which reached number 1, You Give Love a Bad Name, and Living on a Prayer. Their fourth album, New Jersey, was also extremely successful, selling over 100 million copies. With the singles Bad Medicine and I'll Be There For You. By mid-1982, out of school and working part-time at a women's shoe store, John Bon Jovi, spelled Bongiovi, which is actually how he spells his name. He took a job at the Power Station Studio at Manhattan, a recording facility where his cousin Tony Bon Jovi was co-owner. John made several demos, including one produced by Billy Squier, and sent them to record companies. Though failing to make an impact, his first professional recording was as lead vocals in R2-D2 We Wish You a Merry Christmas, which was part of the Christmas in the Star Wars album, which his cousin co-produced. So if you have that, the vocals are John Bon Jovi.
I do not have that, but
so you're probably going to get it. He's probably credited as John Bon Jovi, Bongiovi, because I don't think he changed his name yet.
I've heard most of the Christmas in the Stars album, and my buddies Jason and Jimmy Mack of Rebel Force Radio, they've played it on their show before.
There you go. The vocals are by John Bon Jovi. Nice. In 1983, John visited a local radio station, WAPP 103 FM, The Apple in Lake Success, New York, to write and sing the jingle for their station. He spoke with DJ Chip Hobart and to the promotion director, John Lastman, who suggested John let WAPP include the song Runaway on the station's compilation album for local homegrown talent. John was reluctant, but eventually gave them the song, which he had recorded in 82. Following a rough early recording in 1981, the local studio musicians, whom he designated the All-Star Review guitarist Tom Pierce, keyboardist Roy Britton, drummer Frankie LaRocca, and bassist Hugh McDonald. The song then began to get airplay. That's when he kind of recruited the band, Tico Torres, Dave the Snake Sabo, who ended up, I think, joining Skid Row later on.
Yes.
And so he originally signed with a Led Zeppelin's label, Swan Song, but that album was never officially released. It was released in January 23rd, 1984, produced by Tony Bongiovi and Lance Quinn. It's significant for being the only Bon Jovi album in which the song She Don't Know Me appears that was not written or co-written by a member of the band. The album charted at number 43 on the U.S. Billboard 200. And aside from the hit single Runaway song from the album, were rarely performed live after Bon Jovi released Slippery When Wet. Now, what do you guys think about Runaway by Bon Jovi?
Runaway's a good song, but I prefer Living on a Prayer. I think it's a better song. I think it's a better representation of them. You can't go wrong with most Bon Jovi songs. I think they have really good stuff. I mean, Slippery When Wet was their best album, by and far. By and far.
Yeah, I disagree.
I
actually like
it's
what was it, Fahrenheit 1300.
It's okay that you're wrong.
I think Slippery When Wet was entirely too poppy.
Yeah, but
I will say this: you can track a song's hookiness. They actually have a program now, and the most hooky song in the world ever written is "Living on a Prayer."
Yeah.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that one bit. And you're right. Slippery When Wet is a very commercial album.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. No, it's not. It's not. In fact, there are some bands where I prefer the more commercial, accepted album. And then there are some bands where I prefer the lesser known albums of, so it depends on the band. It depends on the feel of the song. And I agree with Jeff. Runaway is an excellent song. Don't get me wrong. But I think the three songs that really stand out from Bon Jovi are Living on a Prayer. You said the title.
Medicine.
Yeah. Well, no, not Bad Medicine. But I'm thinking off of Slippery When Wet.
You give love a bad name.
Yes, you give love a bad name. And then my all-time favorite is Wanted Dead or Alive.
Yeah. Okay. Song. Wanted Dead or Alive. I'm with you. That is a pretty damn good song.
I would have kicked this off with Wanted Dead or Alive, but that's just my opinion.
I also think that a lot of the songs were a bit overplayed.
Oh well.
Well, sure they hit the pop stations, and when you talk about the pop stations, the top 10 songs that were on the chart that week got played constantly.
Yeah, and I think, good God, I think 2 or 3 of them were on the top 10 at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm not I'm not saying it's a bad album. I just like Runaway a little better. I actually had heard Runaway before Slippery When Wet. Because again, I was a music nerd. I'm kind of a music nerd. And I always kind of have been. I was into jazz when I was like 11, 12. And then I got introduced. Yeah, and I got introduced to all this new music. I thought that The Cure, Bon Jovi, and there was another band. I think it was the Replacements, were all pop bands. I thought they were all pop songs that played on the radio. I had no idea. It wasn't until later, like a year later, I discovered nobody knows who these people are. And then Bon Jovi exploded shortly after that.
Right. Yeah, The Cure, I didn't know for the longest time. And then what was The Cure's biggest hit? What was their big hit?
The one that hit
Love
the
Song?
pop. No, it wasn't Love Song, but it's the one that
yeah,
hit
not Love Song.
Sitting on the dizzy edge, I kissed her face, I kissed her neck. I dreamed, and I sing it better than he does. I dreamed of all the different ways I had to make her.
But I didn't know of The Cure
Just like
until
heaven.
much later. And in fact, I had an ex-girlfriend whose favorite band was The Cure. And that's kind of where The Cure came in for me.
Zig hit it.
Goth chicks.
Just Like Heaven was the one that hit the pop stations.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Goth girls.
Goth
Goth girls. They were
yeah,
awesome.
I think I remember that.
Although back then they didn't call them goth girls. They called them D-rockers. Or at least down here they did.
D-rockers?
Yeah. Short for death
Never
rocker.
heard that term. Oh, wow.
You never heard D-rocker? That's what they
No.
called them back then.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Goth wasn't a...
In the Midwest, we're not as sophisticated as you guys.
Either that or we're just weird.
Well, trust me, we're weird here too. So.
The next song, Nobody's Fool by Cinderella. Oh, hey, somebody likes this one. Okay. First time I heard this guy sing, I heard a blues rock sound. And Tom Kiefer sounds Southern to me, but apparently he's from Philadelphia.
I believe you're right.
When he sings, he sounds like he's from, I don't know, like Mississippi or Louisiana. I don't know why, but something about, and this got a lot of airplay too, about this dude's vocals just, it gets me.
Tom Kiefer is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I can't even put my finger on why, because honestly, but I shouldn't really be into this song, but God, I love this song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, they were an American rock band formed in '83 in the suburbs of Philadelphia. The band emerged in mid-1980s with a series of multi-platinum studio albums and hit singles, whose music videos received heavy rotation in MTV. Before shifting into a more blues rock based sound during the early to mid 90s. If you've never heard any of that later Cinderella stuff, it is real bluesy. It's pretty good though.
That's some of my favorite Cinderella stuff. Actually.
Yeah, the stuff from the 90s. Yeah. They didn't get nearly any airplay off that stuff.
No, that's because MTV screwed them over.
Yeah.
And
well,
MTV was in love with Cinderella. And then all of a sudden they just when the 90s grunge rock hit,
yep,
Cinderella and the rest of the bands were just thrown aside like rag dolls.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm actually going to talk about that a little at the end of this list.
Okay. Right. But Tom Kiefer, in my opinion, Cinderella is one of the most underrated 80s bands ever. Musically, I think they're fantastic. I love them. And they have they
have a wall of sound to their stuff.
This is a great ballad. I love this song.
There are very few Cinderella songs I don't like.
I don't know how, because they can reproduce that wall of sound live. I don't know how the hell they do it, because there's only 5 of them.
There's 4, and then live they do have a keyboardist.
Okay, maybe that's what it is.
Tom Kiefer, Eric Brittingham, Jeff LaBar, and I always forget the last one's name. Oh gosh, I can't.
Oh, I've got it.
Fred Curry.
Holy crap! Yeah, good, excellent. Thanks. I don't even have to look that up.
And
appreciate it.
Unfortunately, Jeff, the guitarist, he passed away a few years ago.
Oh.
Which is one of the reasons we will never get another Cinderella album. One, because Jeff passed away, and I don't think Tom's ready to move on to a different guitarist and call it Cinderella. And 2, there are weird licensing issues with their music. And Tom has stated before that they can't get the rights back to their own music. So,
what?
Yeah. It's crazy. The music industry is nuts. And so there will never ever be another Cinderella album again. That's it. You're done.
Bruce Springsteen was one of the one artist who's been very open about how messed up the music industry is, because a lot of these artists, they don't get to own the rights to their songs unless they become huge.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever heard the story of when Michael Jackson met with Paul McCartney? So when the two of them met and they started talking and they were talking about collaborating, you know, they did Say, mm-hmm. and they did what was the one on
The Girl Is Mine?
Yeah, The Girl Is Mine. Yeah, both good songs too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Say I think is better, but both of them are good songs. But when they first got together, Michael Jackson, you know, he was just hitting that you know, height of fame at that point. Mm-hmm. You know, Michael was always famous, but at that point he was on the verge of becoming the quote unquote king of pop. Mm-hmm. And he was quoted as asking Paul McCartney, he says, "Hey, do you have any advice for a young and upcoming musician?" And Paul mm-hmm. goes, "Yeah, I do." He says, "Get the rights to your own music." He says, "If you don't get the rights to your own music, you're screwed." And Michael laughed and said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to buy yours." And he freaking did.
Yep. Mm-hmm. He owned the entire Beatles library.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not even a Beatles fan, and that pissed me off.
I think the Beatles were decent songwriters, but I don't think they're the gods that everybody purports them as. And I know that's, again, controversial subject, but I can think of 10 English bands that are better than the Beatles off of the top of my head.
The Who.
Okay, yeah, there's one. I didn't even think of that one.
And since you're a punk guy, I know you would agree with that one.
I totally agree with that. The Who, Stone Roses, In Spiral Carpets was a better band than the Beatles. And again, I'm not saying that they're bad. They're just,
the Beatles are overrated. They're just,
it was hype.
Yes,
it was. There was a lot of hype around them.
I respect their place in rock and roll history. I respect the fact that, you know, they were considered the greatest pop band ever. I can respect all that. I don't agree with it. I can respect it.
I love the Beatles, and I mean,
I'm sorry.
I do. I just do. And I went to see the Beatles Love in Vegas, and that was an amazing Cirque du Soleil show. Amazing Cirque.
Well, I love the band that the Beatles influenced, so
they influenced a lot.
We'll get to them.
So the Cinderella song "Nobody's Fool" is off of Night Songs. It is their debut studio album. It was released on June 9th, 1986 by Mercury Records. And it went double platinum, shipping 2 billion copies, eventually up to 3 million copies. So eventually they did go triple platinum.
Now, do you know that the cover of that album, that the band did not want that cover?
It's where they're all standing in the street, right?
Yeah, they're standing in the street. They're wearing.
It looks like Leonard Skinner's Street Survivors. It looks like it's even shot on the same street.
It might be. I don't know. I don't know. But they didn't like the look of the hair metal scene. They didn't like the spandex, and that is the only album cover where they're wearing that type of clothing. Everything else after that, it's denim and leather. They went away from the spandex, and they still always had the hair. You know, that's a staple.
Yeah, but they look more like a goth band.
Yeah,
or what would eventually be named goth. Yeah, when they were playing, they looked like actually they kind of sounded like a Southern blues goth band, kind of cowpunk. That's what it is. That's why I like Cinderella. They sound like cowpunk.
See, I love the Southern rock style. So, well, it's more than Southern rock. It's more like Southern metal. You know.
Yes.
Because it's just on the verge of heavy metal, but it has enough of that Southern, you know, punch to it to give it, you know, almost an Alabama kick to it. You know?
Yeah. It's laced with Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
and I love it. I love it. What was it? Social D. You know, 3 hots and a cot and a lot of talk. lock up concrete and steel, you know? You
Ah,
know, yeah. It's that same sort of sound, and that Nobody's Fool encapsulates that. And that's why I love it. And again, I'm not a big hair metal guy, but some of this stuff I love. Again, there's 3 songs in this list that I'm not terribly crazy about. One of them that Geoffrey's like, you have to put this song in the list. I'm like, I know I have to put this song in the list. It just pisses me off.
oh, I can't wait to hear what this is, man.
Okay, the next one is Vixen, Edge of a Broken Heart. Vixen is an American rock band that was originally formed in St. Paul, Minnesota in 1980. During its most commercially successful period from 87 to 92, the band consisted of Jan Knudenheim.
Good. Bless you.
Thank you. Knudenheim, Minnesota. You know, it's Scandinavian. So I'm butchering this lady's name. She is actually no longer with us before, and I apologize, but it's Jan Knudenheim. We'll go with that. Janet Gardner on lead vocals, Cher Ross on bass, and Roxy Petrucci on the drums. The band's eponymous first album was released in 1988 and reached number 41 on the Billboard 200. Their second album, Rev It Up, was released in 1990 and reached number 52 on the Billboard 200. Their third album, Tangerine, was released in 1998, and their fourth album, Live and Learn, was released in 2006. They were part of the Los Angeles, California glam metal scene. The band has been described as the female Bon Jovi. Several singles released by the band from 88 to 90 reached the Billboard Hot 100. But originally they started out as a band in Minnesota, and they moved out to LA and kind of jumped into the metal scene that was going on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles or Hollywood. Maybe we should talk about that for a second. So a lot of this music, even though these people came from different places, it was centered on this one little street in Los Angeles. Yep. I say little because technically it's not that long. The Sunset Strip is not that big of a place. But there were several clubs there and apartment complexes that these people lived in, and different little businesses that they worked in during the day. Most notably, Quentin Tarantino uses a diner in almost every one of his movies. I can't remember the name of the diner. I'm sorry. It is on the Sunset Strip. As a matter of fact, I believe it is across the street from the Whiskey A Go Go. I may be incorrect, but I know it's within a block.
And Whiskey is the most famous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the only one. There's several of them, but Whiskey A Go Go is the most visceral that anyone can think of.
Oh, bands still record at the Whiskey today.
Yes,
that's how how much mystique and
it was originally a jazz club. It became a rock club in the 60s. And then it kind of fell in.
Is it Uncle Bill's Pancake House?
It may be.
Wow.
It may be.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, it's on the Sunset Strip. The Whiskey, and it kind of fell in hard times, and it got bought out by new ownership, and they started doing these harder rock scenes. And then the glam metal scene sort of took over. Bowie played there. The New York Dolls played there. T-Rex played there in the late 60s, early 70s. And that's kind of what kicked off this glam vibe that it had. But a lot of these younger guys from different points of America kind of moved into the area. And they liked the heavy metal, but they also liked the glam. So they kind of combined those two things in the early 80s, and the scene exploded out of that. Mm-hmm. So Vixen, or Jan, basically moved into this area and kind of got lost in this scene for a little while, and decided to take her band Vixen and just kind of make it part of that. They started out in 81 in Los Angeles. In '84, an early version of the band with the singer Janet Gardner, they appeared in the movie Hard Bodies as an on-screen band, Diaper Rash. It was just a pop band. They were a quintet at the time, playing in pop rock style. In 1985, the band moved to the inner areas of Los Angeles to join the city's rock scene. Again, around the Sunset Strip, the Whiskey A Go Go, and whatnot.
Wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, and so in 1988, the band was signed with EMI Manhattan, and they began recording their self-titled debut album Vixen, which was released on August 31st. Singer-songwriter Richard Marx, with the worst haircut in rock and roll, co-wrote Edge of a Broken Heart with them.
I like Richard Marx.
I do too.
Well, of course you like Richard Marx.
I know.
Brendan and I have a funny Richard Marx story, sort of. So when we were dating, we used to go to Taco Bell, not far from us. That particular Taco Bell is no longer a Taco Bell, but anyway, there was a woman who managed the Taco Bell there at the time, and she was always in there. Her name was Marcia, really nice girl. And we came in there one day, and I used to have the mullet, the long mullet and everything, and kind of spiky on top, like I still have today.
Okay.
But we'd walk in there, and she would refer to me as Richard Marx. She you look like Richard Marx. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was kind of taken aback, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is a compliment or not. So, and she's a black woman. Okay. And so I was like, I'm trying to think of a black, female singer that would be, that I would consider, on par. And I go, well, I guess you're Aretha Franklin then. I mean, so I called her the Queen of Soul. Yeah.
Right
so
on.
after that, every time we'd come in, she'd go, "Hi, Richard." I go, "Hi, Aretha."
Nice. Richard Marx. Well, yeah. So Richard Marx wrote "Edge of a Broken Heart." I like this song for very, very, very many reasons. Mostly because it is hooky as hell. I actually like this one. I think this is the best song in this list. Just from a song perspective.
Really?
And that's interesting because I wasn't familiar with this band. I'd actually never heard this song until I saw this list. I tell you what it made me think of is the song from The Dance and Better Off Dead.
Oh yeah.
This is what it made me think of.
Gosh.
I think they were trying to crib from Vixen a little bit, or maybe Diaper Rash.
Maybe.
But yeah, I was never really into Vixen. That just wasn't, a band for me. I would have put Lita Ford in place of Vixen.
Lita Ford's good.
That would have been my choice. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do an entire episode on Lita and Joan and Cherry.
Oh yes, Runaways.
Yeah, because honestly, kind of where that's kind of, again,
Brenda's singing Cherry Bomb.
Yeah, from my perspective, punk and heavy metal belong together. There was a split.
Disagree.
There was a split that happened in the early 80s, and I think it was to our detriment.
I agree with you, actually. I think there was this. I don't know if it's to our detriment, but I do agree that heavy metal is spawned from punk. It has a lot of the spirit of punk.
Yes. Yeah, well, and they both kind of come from the same place. A lot of people were trying to do the New York Dolls and the Velvet Underground and David Bowie and T-Rex and to a lesser extent, Sweet?
Sweet, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Naughty Dollar, or Naughty Holder, whatever his band was called. Is it Sweet? Is that right? We've got them a little further in the list.
Okay.
But yeah, I love this. The hook on this one it blows me away. And their hair was the best. Their hair was the best.
I don't know about that, but
The next song is I Remember You by Skid Row. This is probably the best vocal in the list.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm on it. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to talk about power ballads because that was as much of the metal thing as everything else. They would do a hard rocker and then they would do a power ballad. The power ballad was to bring the girls into this in with the dudes. Because every time they would play at a hard rock or a heavy metal show, it was a sausage fest. So they all decided they needed girls, so they would all do power ballads.
I don't disagree with that one bit.
When we talked about the hardcore metal scene up in the East Bay area, it's like, yeah, every one of there was no women at those shows. I mean, we had one or two, but it was mostly. Excuse me, I'm gonna die over here.
Yes,
well, don't do that.
Yes, my dreams are coming true.
Wait a minute, can you make it to where it's a murder so Jeff can feature it on the show?
I don't know, maybe. What's in this coffee? No, it's just coffee.
I got in mine.
Nice. So yeah, Skid Row, I Remember You was a song by American heavy metal band Skid Row. It was released in November of 1989. The third single from their eponymous debut album. They composed a power ballad. It was written by bandmates Rachel Bolan, Dave the Snake Sabo, which we mentioned before.
Yes.
And sung beautifully by Sebastian Bach. Now, Sebastian Bach, yes, he is a heavy metal guy. Sebastian Bach was also classically trained. Sebastian Bach was originally an opera singer. That's why he sounds so good.
Sounded.
Which is weird because, usually opera singers can't make that conversion. Opera singers sound like opera singers. Heavy metal guys sound like heavy metal. You know what I mean? Sebastian Bach is one of the few people who can make the transition.
But you can incorporate the screams from opera into heavy metal.
Yes.
So, I don't think it's a far stretch, actually.
I don't know. Every time I hear someone who was opera trained and they try to put a little stank on it, they can't. They've trained their voice in such a way that there's no room to. I don't even know how to say to rub a little stank on it. And Sebastian Bach can hit those notes, can scream, can sing low, and rub some stank on it, and it's great.
Yeah, now he's rubbed stank on it.
This song's a really, really good representation of the genre. I mean, this is a good song. Really,
I agree. Song. I agree. I think it's the best vocal in the list.
Well, actually, I don't think you included the best vocal, but we'll get into that at some point in the list.
Okay.
But I do agree that his vocals are great, and this is if you want to represent the power ballad, it is a perfect representation of the power ballad. It's not my favorite Skid Row song. I would go with 18 for my favorite Skid Row.
18 in Life?
18's a good one.
18 in Life is great.
Yep.
Yeah, 18 in Life, I'll give you that. I love Skid Row just because of his vocals.
Now that whole album, that is a fantastic album.
Yeah, that Skid Row album is great.
That is Skid Row's, in my opinion, that's their best album.
But did they ever do anything better?
Well, some people would argue that the next one was Dog Eat Dog or something like that, which is a more heavy metal album.
Yeah.
Some hardcore fans would argue with you and say that's their best album. If you're going from a commercial standpoint, you have to go with the self-entitled Skid Row, though.
Oh yeah, but yeah. I've heard Dog Eat Dog, and you're right, it is more of a metal album.
Yeah,
it's straight up metal. I mean, they could have played at Ruthie's Inn up in Oakland. But yeah. Okay. So the reason Metallica did not play a lot, even though they're from this area, is because they were too hard. This area was not kind to heavy metal. They were kind to glam metal.
Yeah.
So most of the heavy metal people either migrated north or a little further south or east. There was a big burgeoning heavy metal scene up around, again, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley. That's where these guys. That's why Metallica is an East Bay band, even though most of its members are from Southern California.
Right. Well, I just read that Lars and James, when they met Cliff, the original bassist.
Yeah, Cliff wouldn't leave.
Right. Cliff said, I'm not leaving San Francisco. You have to come down here. And they went, okay.
Yeah. And then they started getting gigs.
Do what?
And then they started getting gigs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they loved them up there.
Metallica is just awesome. I love Metallica.
I do too.
The next song in my list is Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue. This is one of the songs I do not like.
Oh, really?
I do not like Motley Crue.
And Motley Crue is gonna be represented twice in here because
yes, it is.
I think they needed two representations in this. This song is great.
Yeah.
Love this song. And the thing about it, this was their last album before getting sober.
That's right.
They were still
you're right. Yeah.
Way messed up during this album.
Yep.
But Home Sweet Home is it's a beautiful song.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, if you could get someone who could sing it.
I think he did.
Back in the day, Vince could sing. Now today,
no,
Vince can't sing.
I don't think he could sing back in the day. I think most of that singing that you get is not from Vince Neil. It comes from Mutt Lange or whoever engineered it.
I don't know if Mutt Lange did that one. I think Mutt Lange came in for Dr. Feelgood. I'm not.
I think you're right on that.
Yeah, I don't think he came in.
Yeah, whoever it was cleaned up his stuff because I've heard some live stuff from the same period. I don't think the dude could sing back then. I think he was pretty. That's why they got him. And now he's not even pretty.
No, his looks were a big reason why they got him, but he could sing.
Yeah.
He could flat out sing.
I saw Motley live several times, Dr. Feelgood era, and Vince was amazing in concert. I love his vocals, and this song is the epitome of the rock ballad.
Yep. Absolutely agree. I mean, this list wouldn't have been complete.
I love the piano part. I'll give you that.
It's gorgeous.
And actually all the music is great. Mm-hmm. I'd like to hear this with a better singer. I'd like to hear what it sounded like.
Agreed.
I figured you guys would talk about this one. I'm not a fan. I'm out on this one.
You're gonna be overruled by a lot of people on this one because this one is huge popularity amongst Motley Crue fans.
Yes.
And like I said, we've got Motley Crue twice on here because they deserve to be twice on here because when you talk about glam metal and hair metal, Motley Crue.
Yep.
They were the epitome of this genre.
Oh, they were the face of this genre.
Yes.
Honestly. Yes. I mean, they had
probably why I wasn't into it that much. I do not like these guys. I think the only song I think is halfway decent by them is Girls, Girls, Girls.
Hey, Zig, have you ever listened to Too Fast for Love?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say Too Fast for Love seems like you would love that album because Too Fast for Love, it's more on the heavy side of Motley Crue. Mm-hmm. And it verges on punk. It really does.
It does.
It
and
has
again,
punk roots.
I will still say musically, I think these guys are great. I really do. I think musically these guys are incredible. I just don't like Vince Neil's vocals.
Mick just released a new single.
Yeah.
Mick Mars?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mick's left Motley Crue and he's going to do solo stuff now.
Yep.
Okay. How is it? Is he singing or do you get a vocalist?
No, he's not singing. He's just playing guitar. He's got a vocalist. Okay. And it's a good song. I mean, it's not my favorite or anything.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. It's
unfortunately, the other reason he left is he now has to sit down. He can't.
Yeah.
The last
Ankylosing spondylitis.
the last few concerts that they had as part of that big tour that they were doing, which unfortunately I missed. They were having to put him in a chair up on stage.
Yeah.
And so same Phil Collins. Phil Collins is doing the exact same thing now.
Phil was, he's really bad. Yeah.
Hell, Mick Mars is, I want to say, was it 3.5 inches? The dude's lost 3.5 inches of height.
Yeah.
Due to osteoporosis and his ankylosing spondylitis.
Yeah.
So we should just be glad that he's still able to make some kind of music.
Yeah, absolutely.
His hands work fine.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and I will agree. Mick Mars is an incredible guitarist. I never see him in lists of great guitarists, and I don't know why, because
he's underrated.
Yeah, he is very underrated.
Well,
I'll say Nikki Sixx is also underrated. Hell of a songwriter and one hell of a bass player.
Yeah.
Yeah, too bad he doesn't shut his mouth, but other than that, yeah.
Right. Yeah, he's
I would put him up with Kim Deal as his bass playing abilities.
Who?
Kim Deal.
I don't know who that is.
Pixies.
Oh, okay.
And the Breeders.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think he's as good as Kim Deal.
I can't speak to that.
Yeah, I can't either.
Okay, so what do you guys think about this song specifically?
Well, I think we talked about it. This song is great. This song is one of their best. One of the I think it is it's their second biggest selling album, because I think Dr. Feelgood actually outsold this one.
Yes, it did.
It did, but if you ask Crue fans, most Crue fans will tell you they hate. And I
like
love
Theater of Pain.
I meant Theater of Pain. They hate this album. I love this album. I
think this is a great
City
album.
Boy Blues is great. Home Sweet Home is great.
Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Oh yeah, Smoking in the Boys' Room. And that song kind of put them on the map, man.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of Smoking in the Boys' Room, so I got an interesting story for you, and it'll kind of go into the one that I'm mad at you for not putting on. If you see the hat. You didn't put my favorite hair metal band, Striper, on here. But Striper's drummer, Robert Sweet, his wife, Victoria Sweet, she is in the Smoking in the Boys video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She was friends with Motley Crue.
Wow.
And she got to be there for the filming of that video. If you watch the video, and the girl that is really laughing like over the top in the video, that's Robert Sweet's wife.
That's wild.
Oh my God. All I can think of is the dirt and what Pete Davidson says to the camera.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Don't leave your girlfriend alone with Motley Crue.
I can't speak to any of that.
Her. Yes.
Yes, they will fuck her.
Yes.
All I know is she goes by Starry, and Starry was friends with Motley Crue. She knew a lot of those guys on the metal scene. She knew just about everybody down there on the boulevard. And
nice.
She got to be in that video.
And she dated Mark Slaughter.
Oh, yes.
Mark Slaughter.
Oh, Slaughter?
Yes. Which is one of my favorite bands.
Now you're in trouble with Brenda.
I don't know if I put Slaughter on.
You didn't.
On here. No.
She was upset with you.
Okay, maybe we have to do another one of these.
I started playing the list, and the first thing she said is, "Where's Slaughter?" I go, he didn't put Slaughter on here.
Oh, I've got a.
But he didn't put Striper on here either. So
I've got a couple in here as well that I'm going to bring up.
Oh, sorry, I bumped my mic. We there? Okay.
Yeah, we're here.
The next one in the list is actually not a glam metal song originally.
Yes.
Yeah. It is not. It is not. It was by a heavy metal band, but the record company wanted them to release a cover on their album Metal Health. It is Quiet Riot. Come On Feel the Noise.
Stop right here. I want to go back. I want to go back to our metal episode.
Mm-hmm.
And something I said throughout that I'm now going to bring up here. Quiet Riot, Come On Feel the Noise. This is an example. Damn it, this is an example.
That you can scream on
and be on key. Yes. This is a great song, and they scream and they're on key.
Oh my God, Kevin Dubrow is so good.
Oh, we got a Kevin story for you.
It was originally a cover by the glam rock band Slade. That was the name of the band I was trying to think of, with Naughty Holder.
And you know, Slade's version is good too.
Yeah. It is good.
Yeah, good. I like Quiet Riot's better.
Yeah, me too.
But I actually enjoyed. I can listen to Slade's and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I hear Quiet Riot, it's just like, you know, it just gets you pumped.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you want to go have a boxing match, you know?
Makes you want to bang your head.
That's right. Mental health will drive you mad.
That's right. My first non-Kiss album that I ever owned was Quiet Riot.
Quiet Riot. Mental Health?
Mental Health. Yep.
Nice. I own this one too.
Still have it too.
On cassette. So originally it was a song.
I have it on vinyl.
Oh wow. Originally the song was by the glam band Slade. It was released in '73 as a non-album single. It was written by lead vocalist Naughty Holder and bassist Jim Lee and produced by Chas Chandler. It reached #1 in the UK singles chart. Nice. And it played well over here, but it didn't get that high. It was like a little almost like a little indie band find, you know. It didn't really play big on the radio over here. It played a little bit, but it wasn't top 40.
Yeah, I don't think I had ever heard it until Quiet Riot did it.
In '83, yeah, in '83, the American heavy metal band Quiet Riot recorded their own version of the song, which Kevin Dubrow was not a fan of. He didn't mind. He liked the song, but it kind of bothered him that that's what they were mostly known for, because it wasn't their. He didn't feel like it was their stuff.
The funny thing about that is I really, as much as I love Come On Feel the Noise, the first thing I think of when you say Quiet Riot, Bang Your Head's the first
Bang Your Head.
Yeah.
Which is their song.
And that's the one I would have picked for this list.
Yeah.
Because it's more representative of them.
Agreed.
Yeah, but that song is not hair metal. That's a heavy metal song.
I still think it's hair. No, I think it's hair metal. Yeah.
It's still. And Bang Your Head or Mental Health is the first metal album to ever go #1 on the US charts.
That is correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it kind of blew everybody away. It's why after that point everybody started getting into the hair metal scene, or the record company started really picking at the glam metal scene down there on Sunset Boulevard, or the Sunset Strip, because this album did so well. That's why the record companies flocked there, and that's why it took over the radio after 1983, 84, 85, 86, 87, up until they decided to stop looking there, and the record companies started looking in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's what happened. It had nothing to do with the music, because the musicians were in their own scene doing their own thing in different parts of the country. You know.
So I've got a Kevin Dubrow story for you.
Okay.
So we've seen Quiet Riot numerous times. We've gotten to meet them a few times.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Yeah. They're good guys. They're good guys, or they were good guys, because half of them are dead now, unfortunately. But there's a concert venue here in St. Louis. It's very popular. It's called Pops. And
okay.
We frequent Pops many times, and we've seen QR many times at Pops also. So one of the last times we saw Quiet Riot, Brenda and I managed to get right up at the stage. I mean, we were standing right there. We're like standing there staring at Carlos Cavazo. You know,
you could look up their nose.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could just reach up and touch Carlos's guitar. You know,
nice.
If he didn't kick you.
Yeah. Touch my guitar. I have those settings just perfect.
Exactly. But so and I don't even remember what the song was, but they were actually playing one of their slower songs. Now, Quite Right actually does have some slower songs too.
Yes, they do.
They got some really good ballads also. But I don't remember particularly which ballad it was they were playing. But they're in the middle of one of their ballads. We are standing there right in front of Kevin DuBrow, right? Kevin looks down at Brenda and grabs her by the hand and starts singing to her.
Oh, wow.
Aww.
Yeah, I don't remember much except I'm like, he's singing to me.
All of a sudden, she was not a huge Quiet Riot fan. All of a sudden, she became a big Quiet Riot fan.
Well, I'll bet.
It was cool. We had a lot of fun.
Quiet Riot's an awesome band. I love them. The reason I included Bang Your I didn't put Bang Your Head in is because it's a metal song. It's not a hair metal song.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
The next song in my list, we will all agree is a hair metal song. It is Warrant's Cherry Pie.
Yep.
Right?
Tony,
yeah.
I think this is the face of that genre.
No. Motley Crue is the face of the genre.
I think this song, this encapsulated. It's the prolonged adolescence that this sort of musical genre inspires. It's encapsulated in Warrant's Cherry Pie.
We saw Warrant open for Motley Crue on the Dr. Feelgood tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you got to see Warrant
listen to him
and Motley Crue in the same night.
Listen to him though. Warrant opened for Motley Crue. Motley Crue was the headliner.
Right. On Dr. Feelgood, which is probably Motley's biggest selling album to date.
Yep.
Yes.
I don't know. When I think of Cherry Pie, Tawny Katane. That's all I'm saying. That's all I can think of is Tawny Katane.
Well, that wasn't Cherry Pie, man.
Huh?
No, she wasn't in Cherry Pie. She was in White Snake.
Tawny Here I go again on my own.
I thought Tawny Katane was in the Cherry Pie video.
No.
Wait a minute.
No, you're the blonde. I don't know what the blonde's name is.
I've got some of that info in here because she ended up marrying what's his name?
David Coverdale.
No, Tawny Katane married David Coverdale.
Right, that's what I thought.
The lady in the married
Pie video.
Laney, Janie Lane.
Oh, she married Janie Lane?
Yeah, they had a kid together.
That. Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't know that.
God, I've always thought it was Tawny Katane. It's Bobby Brown.
Oh, no. Yeah, Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown, yeah.
Damn.
Because I would always joke, Bobby Brown, the
Janie Lane and Bobby Brown are screwing. What? No, different Bobby Brown.
Right. But yeah, Tawny was White Snake. She was rolling over the car.
I thought she did Cherry Pie too. Oh,
nope.
Well, then I don't have anything else to say about this song.
Really? All right. So I'll say this. I actually like their first album better.
Dirty, Rotten, Filthy Scout.
Yeah, I think Heaven would have been a better song, but
Heaven's a great song.
Yeah, I think that whole album is better. But I mean, my God, Cherry Pie encapsulates this genre of music so much it has to be on this list. And I don't even really like this song.
Cherry Pie encapsulates the end of the genre. And I say that because Janie Lane, you can check.
I've heard. I think this may be in my notes. Please continue.
Okay, so Janie, when this album came out, it was a huge success, huge commercial success, and he walked into Warner Brothers Records, I believe it was Warner Brothers, and his posters all over the office.
It's behind the secretary,
right,
10 feet tall,
gigantic. And then he came back like, I don't know, 6 months later.
Yep.
And I think they had Nirvana up there.
No, it was Alice in Chains, Dirt.
Oh, okay.
He was like, I walked in and it was Dirt by Alice in Chains, and I knew it was over.
Yep. So to me, I hear this song and all I can think of, it makes me sad because that's the end of my genre.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's still around.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the last band of the genre, though, and I'll bring that up here in a minute.
Steel Panther.
No.
So yeah, Geoffrey was right. It was like cherry pie has to be in. I think we had this conversation. Yeah, yeah. Cherry pie definitely has to be in.
Now the
next album, Geoffrey's like, this song needs to be in there. I put this song in the list. I'm gonna tell you, I listened to about 10 seconds of this song.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna introduce this one.
Please.
We don't deviate because one disappointed fan could turn into 2 to 4 to 8. To the next thing you know, we're playing to a half-empty hall, and our little lost sheep are off enjoying the rock stylings of, say, Rat.
We do it the Steve Dragon way.
That is a quote from the movie Rockstar.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie.
The song stylings of, say, Rat.
Yes.
See, I love Rat.
I do too.
Yes.
This album, Invasion of Your Privacy. Yeah.
Did you ever notice that all their hits only have 3 syllables?
Well, and this song we're going to talk about, this was their biggest hit.
Yes,
this
Round
was
and Round.
Their biggest hit.
Yep.
Lay It Down. Was in Wanted Man. You're in Love.
Yeah.
Wade Cole Jr. 3 syllables. All of their songs have 3 syllables.
So many good songs. Just so many good songs. Such a good band. Warren D. Martini, man. Warren D. Martini. Come on.
Okay, Warren D. Martini is a great guitar player.
Oh, he sure is.
I'm not going to dispute that.
Awesome.
I don't like their songs.
Well, and
that's okay that you're wrong.
Yeah, it usually is.
Go ahead and say it.
Well, no, so
you're an idiot.
Thank you.
I'll say it with the right inflection. You're an idiot.
Well, I gotta save the proper way for you.
So, even though I knew most of these songs from years and years and years of listening to them, I went back and listened to them with a fresh listen as I wrote my notes, and I had never noticed it before. I think Rat took a lot from Alice Cooper.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, and which made me think, how do we not have Alice Cooper or Black Sabbath in this list?
Black Sabbath's a heavy metal band.
I think they crossed over.
Okay,
I think they crossed over.
Alice Cooper is a punk musician.
Okay,
I'll fight you for that.
All right. I will give you that Black Sabbath doesn't belong in this list. They are not a hair.
I think they belong in it.
No, Black Sabbath, even though they don't want to admit it, they are the godfathers of heavy metal. They inspired every heavy metal band.
Tony Iommi's missing finger was the key.
Yes, I agree. Now, Alice Cooper, on the other hand, is the king of shock rock, and he definitely should be on this list because Alice was huge during the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why don't we have Poison on this list? Poison should be on here.
We have
Poison's on this list.
Poison's
song. Alice Cooper's Poison?
Oh, Alice Cooper's Poison. No, you're right.
Oh, dude, if I was going to do Alice Cooper, I'd probably do Feed My Frankenstein.
No, I think Poison is...
Feed My Frankenstein.
I think Poison is his best song.
Oh,
Poison is amazing.
Frankenstein!
Listen to Feed My Frankenstein and immediately listen to Poison. You will hear Poison is so much better of a song.
All right.
I love both songs, so...
If we're going to include these bad boys in this list, I need you to type them down because for our 15th, I keep having to replay it so I can add the things to the... So, please text me and we will update the list after the show runs.
Okay.
Because I said Black Sabbath because I think if you take Black Sabbath closer to when this is where my thinking is closer to when Ozzy went on by himself.
Oh, the Dio era
is when they really slipped into glam.
You know what? That's
Wait a
probably
minute. Yeah, you saying Dio? The Dio
Yeah.
era of? Oh
Yeah.
no! I disagree with that
Yep.
wholeheartedly.
That's when I think they start slipping into it.
Dio is total heavy metal. I mean,
oh my god! But Rainbow in the Dark is such a
Yeah.
great song.
Oh, Rainbow in the Dark is fantastic.
Like a rainbow in the dark.
Dio's an amazing band to begin with. I mean,
Yeah.
I love Dio. Anyway.
Dio, Rainbow, Black Sabbath. He was just great in everything he was in.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. I mean, that guy could sing.
Oh my god, yeah.
He was something else. Now,
Yeah.
there you go, Jeff. That's another example of a heavy metal guy who can scream and do it on key.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
There's few
God.
that can sing like Ronnie James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the best.
If you guys are typing this up, someone put in Rainbow in the Dark. We need to put that on this list too.
See, if Steve was here, he could write things down.
I'm trying to roll down the list. I'm sorry. The next song is Fallen Angel by Poison. The reason I didn't pick Every Rose Has Its Thorn is because to me it's not a glam metal song. Every Rose Has Its Thorn is a country song to me, just like Joey by Concrete Blonde is a country song to me. It's in a country key.
Poison is Motley Crue wannabes.
Oh, you're gonna start fighting with Brenda.
That's what they are to me. They are Motley Crue wannabes.
I think you might get punched when he comes down here. Not by him, but
Not by me.
No, not a fan. Not a fan of Poison.
Now, see, we've Poison's probably one of the bands we've seen more than any other band. We used to go see Poison every single year they came here to St. Louis. I think the first time we missed them was actually the time they were on tour with Kiss, believe it or not. But yeah, Brenda's favorite bands are Poison and Def Leppard. Those are her two, and Slaughter. Those are her three favorites. So yeah. Yeah, Jeff, you got to watch it. Those are fighting words for Brenda.
So Geoffrey thinks that that Poison is a Motley Crue wannabe. Brenda loves Poison. Mike is somewhere in the middle. I'm just kind of meh.
I enjoy Poison. To me, they're just a fun party band. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I didn't put Every Rose Has Its Thorn, because honestly, I think that's the best song those guys ever recorded.
I don't know about that, but I love that song. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if I'd say the best,
but it's not a glam. You would agree, it's not a glam metal song, right?
It's a power ballad. It's the epitome of power ballads.
Yes, but for this list, Fallen Angel fits better in the list, don't you think?
Probably.
Okay, all right.
I don't disagree.
I really, this is not my favorite genre of music. It never has been. And I'm not saying that I don't dislike it. It's just not my thing, you know?
Yeah. See, this is my genre. I love Rat, Cinderella,
One of my favorites,
Motley Crue, Poison. Yeah, all of them. I love these bands. They're just great bands and fun music, and it was good times, you know. I never went to a Poison concert that I did not have a good time. It is nothing but a good time.
I will say this: Poison was the smartest band in this genre, because Ricky Rocket, his side gig, his side hustle is he's a hairdresser.
Oh,
they always I think he still has a studio in LA. They always had a hairdresser on. That's why the hair always looks so great. Ricky Rocket's a hairdresser, man. That's what he does.
Something to Believe In would have been a good, ballad rock.
Yeah, something
to believe in. By Poison.
Mm-hmm. That's a good song.
Something to Believe In.
I mean, if you like power ballads, that's a really good song.
Well, I mean, I do like power ballads. I just like Fallen Angel because I think it's it's talking about someone going to the Sunset Strip and getting eaten up by it. I thought, oh, this is kind of indicative of that genre.
I knew somebody that believed that their daughter inspired that song, actually.
Whoa.
We actually knew some. I worked with a lady. She went by the name Tinker when I used to work at Red Lobster. That was my first job.
Nice.
But when I worked at Red Lobster, Tinker was a good friend of mine, and Tinker's daughter had moved out to L.A. and she got to know some of these bands and stuff. I don't know how, but she did, and she got to be friends, I think, with Ricky, and even dated Ricky. And so she came from the Midwest and went out to California, and unfortunately she actually was killed out there in California. She was a real estate agent. She was selling houses, and she was showing her house, and she got shot and was killed in LA. But if you look at the album Flesh and Blood, there is a dedication in the dedications. One of the names is Wendy. Is it Wendy Tarr? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's Wendy Tarr, which was Tinker's daughter.
Oh, wow.
She's one of the names on Sweat or Blood and Tears. Blood and Tears? Yeah, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So it is distinctly possible that you may know or at least one of the people who Fallen Angels was written about.
Right. Tinker believes that her daughter was one of the inspirations of that song.
Of Fallen Angel. Oh, that's amazing. I love the refrain of the song. It's it's indicative of the genre because it talks about the people who didn't make it, because a lot of them didn't. I guess we should probably talk about Penelope Spheris too, and her second film, Decline in Western Civilization, the Metal Years.
Oh yeah,
because they really touch off on this Sunset Strip area.
Yeah, that's a great documentary, actually.
Yeah, you ever see the first one?
I don't think so.
It was hard to get for a long time because of the music, but it documents the beginnings of. So, as we've talked about before, hardcore punk started basically the same all over the country, and then it got different in different places because people got tired of playing the same three notes. It documents how that indie scene formed in Los Angeles, how you go from Black Flag to Concrete Blonde and Social Distortion, and oh my God, Social Distortion's in it, and I think they're like 17 at the time. A couple of the guys who are no longer with us are in that film, and they're babies.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike Ness is a teenager in that film.
Mike Ness,
he's the lead singer of Social Distortion.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. Again, that whole cowpunk sound. I want some country with my punk rock. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. So yeah, I'm sorry we kind of got off the track there. So this band originally formed in Pennsylvania, and they of course went out to Sunset Strip, and this is where they hooked up with guitarist CC DeVille. CC DeVille was pretty instrumental in getting this band up and running. They also had Slash come in and try to play with them before he went to
wow.
Yeah, before he went on to wait at the time it wasn't Guns N' Roses yet. You had two bands. You had LA Guns. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, LA Guns and
Hollywood Rose. Yeah. And I think Slash went on with the Hollywood Roses. So they got CC DeVille. CC DeVille also had turned down an offer to join Christian rocker Stryper.
Yes, that is a true story. Well, it's not 100% true. Because I've heard it from Michael Sweet. CC did come in and try out for Stryper, and they just never really fit. It just was not a good fit for either him or for the rest of Stryper. So it just never worked out. It wasn't really that he turned them down. It wasn't a good fit. That's all. And I couldn't see CC and Stryper. I mean, obviously for many reasons. Of course, Stryper had their party days in the beginning.
Yeah.
Before they were actually officially a Christian metal band.
The thing about CC DeVille that he's this little bitty platinum blonde guy with this crazy hair, this guitar, and you look at him, he's kind of small, and I almost think of him speaking like a small English child, and then he opens his mouth and he talks like this, like he's from Manhattan and he's 85 years old. I love that dude.
That's a good description of it.
Yeah, it's that dude is a juxtaposition in spandex.
Yeah, I do love CC. He's great. He's great.
Yeah, but he's also a hell of a guitar player and a hell of a good songwriter.
Yep.
You may not necessarily a
Unfortunately,
lyricist.
he caused a lot of problems in Poison, but
Not to go too far off the path on this, but just curious. I know Zig hasn't. Have you ever listened to? Do you like Kansas?
I'm not the
Okay, then the story's not going to matter. The story's not going to matter. One of the founding members of Kansas went on to form a Christian rock group, AD, and they're very, very similar. But anyway.
Well, now Michael Sweet fronted what was the other band? Not Kansas. Somebody similar to Kansas. Gosh, I can't think. I'll have to think about it. But he actually got to front one of his favorite bands when the lead singer, well, I think the lead singer actually committed suicide.
Boston.
No.
Boston. That's what it
Oh.
was. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Front in Boston?
Yep.
After wow.
Yeah.
After Brad Delp died?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
After Brad died, they found out how big a fan Michael was of Boston, and they said, "Hey, you want to come with us and you can sing for us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'd be honored to." And so he did one tour with Boston where he fronted Boston.
Oh wow.
Nice. He must have a good set of pipes.
Oh my
Well,
God. You haven't listened.
He'd have to.
I saw Boston in concert before Brad Delp died, and during the show, he paused, talked to the audience, and he said, "By the way, every now and then during our songs, you'll see me point off to the side of the stage. That's when I'm pointing to my backup singer because I can't hit those notes anymore, and somebody else has to do them."
Wow.
I would argue that Michael Sweet is the best voice in all of rock and roll.
Interesting.
And that's not just because I'm a fan of Stryper. It's just the man has an amazing voice, and he's still holding up today. They've done several new albums over the last 10 years, and I would argue that their new stuff is even better than their original stuff from the
And
80s.
he could still sing.
Oh my gosh, he can still
He's still a
sing.
great singer. He's like Al Green. Al Green didn't get his voice didn't get older. He got a little bit of gravel in his voice, which made him sound better.
I would even argue that Michael actually sounds better today than he did back in the 80s.
And Sweet and
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think the same thing about Al Green. If you listen to anything recent by Al Green, his voice is more amazing now than it was in 1980.
That's how I think about Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel, same way.
Peter
I
Gabriel.
haven't
Gabriel
heard
got
anything
less
from him.
gravel.
Oh,
I
Peter
haven't heard anything from him lately.
Oh yeah, he just released a new album.
Did he really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I was never into Peter Gabriel as much.
Oh, he is he is
I
probably
prefer
my all-time favorite.
I prefer Phil.
I like Phil Collins, but Peter Gabriel's my all-time favorite.
Again, you can be wrong. It's okay.
Wow.
Not on my show, I can't.
Wait a minute. Zig could be wrong, but you can't.
That's correct.
I'd like to thank you for pointing that out, ma'am.
It's kind of like Steven and I.
No, I've seen you apologize.
Shh. We don't
Keep
talk
it
about
real.
that. We don't talk about that.
I love you, but you're wrong sometimes.
No. Moving right along.
Okay. Then the final song in the list for episode 126 is Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle.
And so I said I was going to talk about this in a minute. I actually would have put this the last of the next episode simply because This, Guns N' Roses, was the last band on the charts before grunge took over. They had the last hit on the chart before Pearl Jam and Nirvana and all of them took over the charts. Guns N' Roses
Don't Cry.
Guns N' Roses was the last.
Well, you do know that one of the singers from that new group is actually on that record, on that vocal. Shannon Hoon is singing back. The only Axl Rose is not hitting those high notes. That is Shannon Hoon from oh my God, what's the name of the band? They did No Rain. All I can do is read a book.
Blind
yeah,
Melon?
that's Shannon Hoon singing that high note on.
I hate Blind Melon.
Don't Cry. Blind Melon. Yeah. Well, Shannon Hoon is singing "Don't Cry." The high notes. That's him. Matter of fact, he's in the video.
I don't know if I don't know if I so much consider Guns N' Roses hair metal though.
I'm the same way. I think they're more of a hard rock band.
Yeah, but I feel they're more of a hard rock and heavy metal, and I think they were one of the last ones, but that was the band that you still would hear even during the grunge phase. You know, people were still crazy about GNR.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were the last one standing.
But see, that's why I don't know. I don't know if I put them in hair metal, glam metal so much. They just don't feel quite the same. Now I agree with LA Guns. I think they wholeheartedly fit in this category, but I just don't know about GNR. I don't know.
I'm kind of with you, Mike. I whiffle. I will say this. They did the hair metal guys seem to really dig Guns N' Roses, as well as the metal guys. They were one of the few bands that
transcendent. Right.
Yes.
Well,
also the punk kids.
They all had the
punk
hair.
Kids also loved Guns N' Roses.
Right. Yeah. So I think they transcend several different rock genres, and I just don't know if I put them into that.
The punk kids were all into GNR Lives. That was the one that hit us.
I can tell you some interesting St. Louis facts about GNR. So, first of all, GNR's very first national interview was on MTV. It was on Headbangers Ball on MTV. And it was actually done by none other than St. Louis DJ Smash from KC 95.
Wow.
Yeah, Smash was the one. He was a VJ at the time. And then later he ended up leaving MTV. He ended up coming to St. Louis and working for KC 95. KC 95 is credited as the oldest rock and roll station in all of America. I used to be a huge KC fan. I kind of gotten away from it nowadays. I don't listen to it as much as I did when I was a kid. But I mean, everyone growing up, you had to listen to KC. It was a rite of passage here in St. Louis. But so Smash got to interview him, and it's a great interview too. And they tear up the entire set at the end of it. It's hilarious, you know. Then the other thing that GNR is notorious for in St. Louis, they were one of the first shows at our brand new Riverport Amphitheater at the time, and they caused a riot and tore up our amphitheater.
The brand new amphitheater?
Brand new amphitheater. They were touring with Metallica. It was a double bill, headlining bill, GNR and Metallica. I think GNR went on first, so Metallica never got to go on. There was an incident where a guy, which is so funny today, because no one would care today, but a guy was taking photos during the show, and Axl got ticked and started screaming, and he's yelling at the guy. He's telling security, "Get this guy, get him," you know. And apparently security wasn't moving fast enough for Axl. So Axl himself jumped off the stage and went after the guy himself. And started a huge riot in the state in the amphitheater and tore up our amphitheater.
Wow.
If you look up in Wikipedia, it says that
don't look at you being Tito.
It says it earned them the name the most dangerous band in the world, significantly controversial. I can't say it right.
Controversial.
Followed the band due to a late show start and riots notably the 1991 Riverport riot. Look at it.
Nice.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah, we have connections to GNR here in St. Louis.
If you look at their beginnings going back to 1985, they were very much glam and hair. They eventually, when you come to this point, Welcome to the Jungle, and Appetite for Destruction. Yeah, I think at that point, that was Appetite for Destruction, wasn't it?
Yeah, Appetite for Destruction.
And
GNR Lies actually came out later, but it was recorded earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, they're definitely not the hair glam metal at this point, but they really started out in that because they started in '85 and they started in these roots.
See, I would still disagree, and I'll tell you why I would disagree. Metallica was on tour with GNR, and that wasn't the only time Metallica was on tour with GNR. Metallica would not tour with Cinderella, with Poison, with Rat, but they were more than willing to go out with GNR. So, that's why I still disagree. They're not a hair metal band, but it is what it is. It's your show, so.
No, this is a great song anyway. This is one I've always loved, especially the guitar solo that starts at the 320 mark. So dirty sounding. It's just dirty.
Well, Slash, man.
Yes.
Slash is an amazing guitarist. He's one of the best. I love Slash. I actually got to see Slash's Snake Pit open up for AC/DC.
Nice.
Amazing.
That was a fun show.
Oh, it was. It was great.
Oh, the other two clubs, the Roxy and the Troubadour, were the two biggest ones of the ads. Yeah. So yeah, in '84, Hollywood Rose member Izzy Stradlin was living with LA Guns member Tracy Guns. With LA Guns needed a new vocalist, Stradlin suggested Hollywood Rose singer Axl Rose. That led to Guns N' Roses being formed in March of '85 by Rose. Rhythm guitarist Stradlin, along with LA Guns founder, lead guitarist Tracy Guns, drummer Rob Gardner, and bassist Oli Beich. Beich. B-E-I-C-H.
Biatch.
There you go. Oli Biatch. Guns recalled the formation of the band in an interview, stating Axl got into an argument with our manager, and our manager fired Axl, but we all lived together, so it was really weird. So that same night we got fired, we started Guns N' Roses, and I called Izzy the next day and said, "Hey, we are going to start this new band called Guns N' Roses. Do you want in?"
Wow.
Yeah. Izzy had actually brought Axl out because they were from the same hometown in Indiana. Is it Indiana?
I have no idea where they're from.
That's also where they got Shannon Hoon.
Really?
Shannon Hoon's from the same town. As a matter of fact, Shannon Hoon is related to Axl Rose's girlfriend that he had for years and years and years that he wrote all the songs about. That he married, and eventually they got divorced, but they were together for like 10 years.
Wow.
Shannon Hoon is like her cousin. He may be her like stepbrother. But yeah, Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon was involved with the scene, even though he was more in an indie band. That's why he's singing on Don't Cry, because he needed some money for his rent. And he's also in the video, but yeah. Of course, they had Slash. And eventually they kicked out Tracy Guns and Beach and replaced them with Duff. Duff McKagan was from Seattle. Duff was part of the Seattle sound. He'd come down to LA, I think for a job, like a not like a musical job, but like a job,
like a real job.
Yeah, like a real job, like a day job. And Duff got hooked up with these guys because he was such a great bass player. And he's the one that convinced them to go up and play Seattle because, and as Geoffrey pointed out, they had kind of that hair metal sound. When they went up to Seattle, they wanted to sound more like the biggest band that was up there at the time, which was Mother Love Bone.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Love Bone and Guns N' Roses from this period sound eerily similar. Mother Love Bone, after the death of Andrew Wood, goes on to become another band, Pearl Jam.
Oh, okay. I hated Pearl Jam.
You might like Mother Love Bone. I think you should check out one of our indie lists. Got a Mother Love Bone song on there. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Well, if they're similar to GNR, then I'll probably.
Oh yeah, you'll love Mother Love Bone.
I'm with Mike, and we've got one of our listeners that hates me for this. That I don't like Pearl Jam.
I don't like Pearl Jam either.
Not a fan of them at all.
I think Mother Love Bone was a better band. And if Andrew Wood hadn't have died, Pearl Jam never would have existed.
So Zig, you were correct. Lafayette, Indiana is where.
Yeah, it was somewhere in Indiana. Because that's where they're all or those three guys are from.
Look at my wife being Tito for us. I love it.
Thank you.
Megan's going to be jealous. She's usually
the Tito references, just in case our audience doesn't know, is from Three Geeky Dads. So do check them out. They're another great podcast that's out there.
Tito looks stuff
They're
up.
good podcast friends of ours.
Yes, they are. But that is it for episode 126. We have another episode coming up, 127.
Yep, and we'll have our guests returning for that one as well. Very exciting genre for myself. I know for Mike and Brenda as well. This is music that we really enjoy, so I appreciate Zig putting this list together. I think for the most part, he did a good list. There's some stuff that we may have forgotten.
If you guys will give me a list of stuff that needs to be added, I will add it all up this afternoon.
I enjoyed the list. In fact, I even titled it Nerdery and Murdery's 80s mixtape.
Okay.
And we're planning on listening to it also when we do our road trip.
Dude, just go onto our YouTube page. I put all this stuff together weeks ahead of time. So if there's any of that stuff that you want to hear, it's there. So
yeah, I need to go back and listen to I listened to your metal episode not too long ago, but I need to go back and check out the metal playlist. I know Geoffrey hates it, but some of that stuff I'm going to enjoy it. Some of it I'm going to enjoy. Some of it I'm with you, Jeff, on, but I'm not as hard on it because I enjoy some of that genre.
Some of it I enjoy too. I love Metallica.
But you were correct. You can scream and be on key.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. As we've proven in this list by a couple of guys. Sebastian Bach can scream on key. And I still say he's the best vocal.
We also talked about that in our exclusive episode 15 on New Jack Swing. Bell Biv DeVoe? They scream on key.
Oh, I remember Bell Biv DeVoe.
So
what was their big hit?
Free Your Mind.
Oh, no. You're talking not Bell Biv DeVoe. That's oh my god.
Free Your Mind is the group I'm thinking of that scream on key.
Oh yeah. Yes, they can.
I used to have Bell Biv DeVoe's cassette single.
Oh, it's not Bell Biv DeVoe. It's
who was it?
Oh my god. The band has gone away from my head.
This is totally off the rails.
Yes.
That's all right. I have my notes handy here somewhere.
Free your mind and the rest will follow. Be colorblind. Don't be so shallow.
I have it right here. I had In Vogue.
In Vogue. Yes, thank you. In Vogue.
Yes.
I would highly recommend listening to Stryper and yes, Michael Sweet. He can scream on key. That's what he's known for, actually. Stryper fans will tell you, anytime you get a Stryper album, the first thing they're looking for, well, the two things they're looking for is, one, signature scream from Michael Sweet, and two, dueling guitars between Michael Sweet and Oz Fox, because they have some best dueling guitar solos.
Well, all right. So I appreciate another musical trip down memory lane. With that, though, we will step over to the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
For today, I got my information off CBS News, E! News, ABC 11 Raleigh, the New York Post, and Daily Mail, and this is the story of Steven Pladl.
Steven Pladl.
Thank you. I was waiting for that.
I was too.
I'm so sorry. Someone was hitting me up. I was trying to get. I was looking up some stuff.
We're all like bated breath.
Right.
Where is it? Where is it?
Can't start till he does that.
It's Steven Pladl.
So Steven Pladl grew up in Levittown on New Island, New York, or in Levittown on Long Island, New York. There was he eventually would go down to Raleigh But there was a Raleigh, North Carolina man who went to middle and high school with Steven, who found him very unusual. He said that Steven was very often bullied. The man refused to be identified in his interview, but he did provide a yearbook picture of Steven, where Steven was wearing a jersey, and he said it's the one he wore every single day and was teased. He said, quote, "I remember in high school distinctly, he always wore the same hockey jersey, San Jose Sharks. I mean, every day. We would be in the same gym class. They'd have different grades in the same gym class, and he was the type of kid he would never just change for gym class." He said that he first noticed Steven's unusual behavior when they were in the 7th grade, and he said at recess, when the other kids would go out to play, they would stay underneath the overhang and literally run around this pole, and they stayed right around the area. They never hung out with any other kids. And, we never knew anything about it, but definitely you could say it might be strange. He said there wasn't much talk about bullying back in the late 80s, but he knew it must have been tough for Steven because people made fun of him. And he said that he felt bad for him because he always seemed like a really quiet kid that stayed to himself. And if I can look back now with my lens, I would say there was something just kind of off. And yes, there was. We'll get there.
Uh-oh.
In 1995, Steven was 20 years old, and he met and groomed the 15-year-old Alyssa over the internet. He traveled to San Antonio, Texas to begin the sexual relationship with her, and then Alyssa ran away with Steven and lived with him in New York. Alyssa became pregnant at 16 and gave birth to their first child at 17, who they named Denise. And according to Alyssa, Steven inflicted torturous abuse upon Denise by pinching her and beating her till she was black and blue and even drowning her. She also claimed that he would stuff Katie into a cooler to drown out her crying until the baby was on the verge of suffocation. She said he would yell at the baby and he didn't bond with her. He didn't take care of her. He rarely held her. And not Katie, Denise, I'm sorry. Alyssa decided to put Denise up for adoption because she believed that she would not have a chance at life while living with Steven. She told the Daily Mail TV through tears, quote, "I knew from the very beginning that I had to get Denise away from him to give her a chance in life. Ultimately, Steve was just finishing off when he started 20 years earlier." Interchanged in my notes, I just realized that her legal name was Denise, but she was called Katie by Alyssa, so that'll get confusing in here. This story will get a little confusing. Alyssa did recount that Steven remained throughout their life together violent and angry, temperamental, and unpredictable. She said Steven always had difficulty with steady income and was abusive. And she said he threatened if I was gone, he would blow his brains out with a gun, figure out a way to record it, and make sure the video got to me.
Wow.
Battling a feeling of loss and regret and becoming even more isolated, Alyssa nonetheless continued living with Steven in what she now recalls as a house of horrors. She ended up marrying him in 2006, and they'd have 2 more daughters who are now aged 8 and 12, settling in Henrico, which is a suburb of Richmond, Virginia. Anthony and Kelly Fusco were the parents who adopted Denise and renamed her Katie. Katie became an inspiring artist known at Dover High School for drawing comic book strips, and she planned to attend college and pursue a career in digital advertising. In August of 2016, when Katie was 18, she reached out to her biological parents, Steven and Alyssa, on Facebook, and they met in Knightdale, North Carolina. Katie decided at that point she wanted to move in with Steven, Alyssa, and their other 2 children, which was a decision her adopted parents were a little apprehensive about, but they did say they supported her. But she had no idea before she moved in with Steven and his wife that he had an explosive temper, a history of abusive behavior, and owned at least 4 guns.
Or that he used to stick her in a freezer to make her stop crying.
Right. By the time Katie moved in, Steven and Alyssa had made the decision to separate and were sleeping in separate bedrooms. Alyssa later said she had suffered emotional and verbal abuse by Steven for years. She said, quote, "I was always on eggshells. Whatever his mood was, everybody knew, and that mood was often not happy. A lot of yelling, a lot of things smashed in the house in front of our kids." Alyssa told Katie privately that Steven had abused her as a baby and that the major reason for the adoption was her own safety, but Alyssa said that Katie didn't seem to be concerned about that. So after Katie moved in, Steven's behavior changed. They said that he began wearing skinny jeans and form-fitting shirts. He shaved his beard and let his hair grow long. And about 6 weeks after Katie moved in, Steven decided to sleep on the floor in her room. Remember, this is his daughter.
Yes.
The marriage to Alyssa continued to be marred by Steven's temper and his inability to make a steady income, while Alyssa worked several jobs to keep him afloat. And over the following months, Steven and Katie became incredibly close. And when confronted by Alyssa, Steven told her it was not her business and stormed out of the house with Katie. Again, Steven also kept a cache of about 4 or 5 guns, all purchased legally because he had no criminal record. For a little while, I thought he was getting better because he didn't treat the 2 children like he did Katie, Alyssa would say later, but he was still violent and angry, temperamental, and unpredictable. Steven's outbursts would typically involve tossing furniture around and punching walls. And this is bad. When a neighborhood cat crept into the garage, his response was absolutely horrific. Alyssa said he literally beat it to death with his own hands and maybe some tools, wrapped it in a trash bag, and put it in the garbage because he didn't like cats.
Abuse of small animals.
Uh-huh. She later broke into tears, recalling several harrowing incidents, including an occasion when he angrily berated one girl for wetting herself. She said he made her wait in the bathtub in her urine-covered clothes for hours until I came home to clean her up. She was shaking and said, "Can I please come out, Mommy?" And he didn't care that she was there all crying by herself, 3 years old, trembling in a bathtub covered in urine.
Gosh.
Alyssa ended up moving out in November 2016 and divorced in 2017. And she and Steven shared custody of the other 2 children. But in May of 2017, she learned from her 11-year-old daughter's journal that Steven and Katie were having an ancestral relationship. Her daughter wrote that she and her sister were told by Steven to refer to Katie as their stepmother. Also, in the journal that where Alyssa found that Steven and Katie were involved, she discovered that Katie was pregnant and that the 2 children had been again told that Katie was their stepmother. Alyssa called Steven, who confirmed their relationship and that Katie was pregnant. And Alyssa then called the police. She later told the Associated Press, quote, "I was just cursing him out. How could you? You're sick. She's a child." Well, on July 20th, 2017, get ready for this, Steven and Katie got married in Parkton, Maryland, lying on their marriage document. They lied on their marriage documents that they were not related.
Okay.
What?
The wedding was attended by Steven's mother and Katie's adoptive parents. They posed for a photo on the wedding day along with Steven, Katie, and Steven's mother. Tony and Kelly Fusco. Yep. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Please.
This is his daughter.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And he, and the family.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep. You got it. You got it.
I just want to make sure I got it straight. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I have to do that occasionally too. I have to go, wait. That
This
can't
one-
be right.
This one just, this flipped my mind here. I didn't.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. This one's out there.
All right.
You see, this is the reaction we want. This is why I never know anything about the murders ahead of time.
That's right. The adoptive parents, Tony and Kelly Fusco, thought that there was nothing they could do and decided it was just best to support Katie. Katie did give birth to their baby, Bennett Kieran, in September of 2017.
Oh, my God.
And Katie had posted pictures on Facebook of her and Steve holding their baby, as well as shared a photo of them on Instagram with the hashtags just married and hashtag pregnant.
Lord.
I know it's.
Did the baby have birth defects?
I have no idea.
I don't
It
know.
might not.
I'm getting sick just hearing this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. Okay, you'll see why I don't know here shortly.
Okay.
You'll see. So Katie and Steven moved into a house on a cul-de-sac in Knightdale, North Carolina, just east of Raleigh. But the wedding bliss didn't last long. In January 2018, Katie and Steven were arrested for incest charges. So they were caught. Steven's attorney, Rick Friedman II, maintained that his client's relationship with Katie was consensual and asserted that Steven had been, quote, head over heels in love with his daughter, and citing Steven's marital troubles as a factor. He said, quote, this case is an 18-year-old girl who shows up at the doorstep of a 40-year-old man who's going through difficult times with his wife. They have a bond because they're biologically related, but they never knew each other before they had a sexual relationship. He was head over heels in love with her so much so that outweighed the issue of them being biologically related.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oedipus.
No.
Oedipus. It's the story of Oedipus.
No.
Only with a girl instead of a dude. Okay. I'm with you.
The attorney would later say nobody could have predicted Steven's actions, and during their meetings, he showed no indications of possibly turning to violence. The judge did order that Steven and Katie do not contact each other, while the custody over Bennett would be handed over to Steven's mother. Following their release on bond, Katie moved back with her adoptive parents and informed Steven over the phone she didn't want to continue the relationship. On April 11th, 2018, Steven murdered his 7-year-old child Bennett at his home. So that's why I couldn't tell you if they were developmental. Bennett is believed to have died by suffocation.
Oh, imagine that.
Mm-hmm. The next day, Katie and Anthony Fusco traveled from Dover, New York to Waterbury, Connecticut to visit Katie's grandmother. In a minivan nearby, Steven watched them leave, as surveillance video would later show. Knowing this was a routine for her, Steven traveled to Dover and followed Katie and Anthony's car and murdered them with his assault rifle, similar to an AR-15, on their route from New Milford, Connecticut. Emergency calls revealed that an off-duty firefighter from New York witnessed the shooting. He was the first to call 911 and report what happened. He said, quote, the car pulled up, went around and shot him a whole clip into his head. Steven then called his mother and told him that he had murdered Katie, Anthony, and Bennett. Not long after, according to New York State Police, a probation officer spotted Steven's blue Honda Odyssey idling in Dover a few miles away from the crime scene and notified emergency services. They found Steven inside, dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His mother did call police, who found Bennett dead in Steven's home. She told the dispatcher, quote, he said he left the baby dead. She also noted that Steven had been upset because Katie broke up with him the day before and said he told me to call police, not to go over there. Knightsdale police said that when last seen, Bennett had last been seen alive the night of April 11th when Steven picked up the child, telling his mother that he planned to Skype with Katie, who he wasn't supposed to have contact with as the terms of his bond. Around midnight, police continued. Steven called his mother and said he was going to take Bennett to New York, and then at 7 a.m. he called again and said they were almost there. But then, according to police, he called for the last time at 8:45 a.m. and said he'd killed Katie, Anthony, and Bennett. Bystanders did report shots being fired in Milford, and police discovered Katie and Anthony's bodies in their car. All three victims were buried in the St. Charles Cemetery in Dover Plains, New York. Alyssa said she has no plans to mark her ex-husband's death, describing it as a relief for her and her girls, who have lived in fear since she took out the protective order and informed cops about the incest. She said in an interview, it's been a difficult roller coaster of emotions because I'm so devastated by the loss of Katie and her adoptive dad and baby. But it's such a relief I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore to see if Steve is there. Every single day I've played out in my head, what if he's in the back of my Jeep getting ready to shoot me? Sometimes I had such horrible paranoia that I had to stop whatever I was doing and drive home to make sure everything was okay. If any good has come from the senseless murder of 3 people and the shattered lives left behind, it's that authorities confronted with incest will learn lessons from the infamous Pladl case. She further said, I want them to overthink. I want them to err on the side of caution. I want them to err on the side of the protection of the child. If you're talking to someone on the internet or you're dating someone and it doesn't feel right, they are treating you badly or constantly trying to make sure you don't set them off, that's not normal. It's not healthy, and nobody should have to put up with that. And that is the story of Steven Pladl.
Well, thank you for that weird little trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Uncle Jeff.
Yeah, that was definitely a noodle turner.
Yeah, I still have. Wow.
Yeah.
Forewarning, so is my next one.
I don't know if it could get much twisty crazier than that, but okay.
Oh, just wait.
Okay.
I have a pretty famous one.
Jeff says, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, hold my beer.
Hold my beer. We're going to talk about Colin Davis, and we disagree about that.
One of these days, I'm gonna dive into that and try to cover the Colin Davis case.
Fort Worth lore says it wasn't him that did it,
and I disagree. I completely think he did it. So we'll have to dive into. I have that on my list someday because that one's probably gonna be a very, very lengthy research one for me. So many names involved in the story that happened. So that's gonna be a big one that I'm gonna tackle one of these days. So awesome. Well, I appreciate our guest coming on the show, Mike from Two Geeks and a Microphone, and his wife Brenda. We very much appreciate y'all. We were just recently on their 200th episode, which was a blast. It was an absolute fun time. So jump over to their podcast, take a listen. As of this episode, when it comes out, you've got a lot more, but you've got at least 200 episodes that you can get through. So you got a ton of content, ton of good nerd and geek stuff. Give them a listen.
And hopefully by that time, Steven will have watched all the episodes of Loki.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out here in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
And how many times he's Steven skipped.
Big fan of y'all's show.
Thank you. Thank you. Same here.
Awesome.
Brendan and I listen to your show just about every Sunday when we're out doing our running around on Sundays. And as soon as we get in the car, the first thing she says is, "You got any Jeff and Zig?"
Awesome.
Nice. Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. So as always, you can find more information about us on nerderymurdery.com. That's our hub for everything about the show. You can find the links to the episode of everything we talked about. Plus you can find pictures of the content that we talked about here. And you can also find the link to our YouTube page.
Yes, our YouTube page, which will have all of these songs listed out, apparently with some more. I have a list that I'm going to add to them, and eventually this video. Awesome. So you can get out there and see that live. Well, awesome. Not live, but Memorex.
I love it.
You can also find the link to our merchandise page, where if you wish to become a fan and show off your fandom for Nerdery and Murdery, please do consider purchasing merchandise there. That, along with our Patreon, does help to go with the costs of the show. There are costs that are associated with the show, costs that help keep us on the air. Mike can attest to that. It's not free. It's not free, peoples.
It is not.
It sure isn't.
So please do consider becoming a patron. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. And last but not least, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review wherever you can. It really helps us and helps others find our content that may be looking for the stuff that we're talking about. So with that, Mike, I'll let you sign off.
Well, I've been Mike with Two Geeks and a Microphone.
Brenda?
I'm his wife.
All right, Zig?
I've been Zig with your Nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdery.
Cue the music.